Hey, I'm David Dowdy with Action Coach Lake Norman. I own a local business training and coaching organization here around the lake, and I am excited to have Josh Mangum on with us today on the Business Spotlight series. And Josh owns Wit Group in the Charlotte area. And Josh, man, thanks for joining us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Wit Group?
Oh, sure. Thanks for having me. So Wit Group is a performance-based digital agency. We're based out of Charlotte and we have offices in Columbia, South Carolina. Um, I founded the company back in 2011 as a personal consultancy. We launched in 2019 as a full service agency. Um, so we're very unique in the fact that we work on commission to manage ad accounts, lead generation, and driving sales through online advertising. And not a lot of agencies do that, so we're a little bit unique. We stand out a little bit from the crowd, hopefully for that.
I got you. Well, fantastic. So you've been around for a little bit, a few years. It started around COVID. So exciting time to launch into this
Great.
iteration of your business. There you go. But
That was a pretty crazy year to start a business. And
yeah,
then, just because of the way things happened, we ended up with a much different talent market than we have today. So we had a lot of marketers that were out of work, and we needed the help, and we scaled up very quickly. The headcount was higher than it even is now at one point. So it's been, I was telling you earlier, we've scaled out a couple times, and um,
mhm.
I've scaled this iteration, this latest kind of Wit Group 2.0 that got started about 2 years ago. We've scaled in a much different way than we did even back then. So it's in just 4 years, just the difference in what we did back then versus what we're doing now is pretty incredible.
Interesting. I'm sure some of that will come out
Yeah.
in some questions I'm going to be asking you and we'll be chatting about. But so if you had to start all over again, back from square one. I mean, what might you do different now, aside from not starting in the middle of a pandemic?
Right. Yeah. Timing. We just finished a rebranding, and we've kind of gone through a couple iterations over the years, but we really sat down and thought through from the colors to the logo itself, the emblem, to the messaging, to our tagline, and really just kind of brought it all together and put the time into it. We're in the process of redoing our website, but I think we made the mistake that a lot of small business owners make, and we did things that were just good enough to get us by. I think I built the website on a weekend just because we had a big pitch. We had our first big
Mhm.
pitch, coming up, and so I had to get a website because we needed the validation of having a website as a digital marketing agency. And
Makes
we
sense.
went along with that basic website theme for 3 years, um, and had a lot of opportunity with the way that the website was designed and looked and the user experience. And if you've ever heard the expression, the cobbler's daughter has the worst shoes in town,
Yep. Yep.
we were a digital agency with one of the worst websites and online visibility in town. And, we did a lot of great work for our clients, but and we still are kind of catching up in this area, uh, not great at promoting ourselves, and we weren't really putting the time into it. So you ask me what I would do differently, I would make sure that I put so much effort into the brand, into developing processes and documenting those processes. I had so many ideas up here, and we had some key players on the team when we first started that had all that knowledge. But if they leave, or if you have to make adjustments, it's really difficult to scale if you don't have everything documented and all your processes kind of baked out. Um, you'll get it done, but you won't be able to get it done at the pace and the efficiency that you need. And that we've had to go back and redo a lot of things over the years. And I wish that, in that first year, I would have just taken 2 weeks and just focused on it. And I think things would have been, again, if you can get in a time machine, then that's what I would have done.
Yeah, and that's probably I was getting ready to ask you what were some of your biggest learnings coming into this, and that's probably one of them.
Yeah.
So
Biggest learnings are that, what I just said, but also um, efficiency is important.
Mm.
And hiring, trying to grow through headcount, at least for us and our business model, wasn't really the way to go. We've been able to scale out the last couple of years much bigger without having to increase the headcount. And we've done that through purchasing software, tools, training, making people more efficient, refining our processes, right? So instead of always trying to grow through just, if you have a bandwidth issue, you need to go hire people. Think about, can you make the current team that you have more effective, more efficient? And so we've done a good job of that the last couple of years, and that's added to our profitability and our growth.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to scale that way if, you know,
People are expensive,
yeah, they are. They are. And
especially
they,
today.
unfortunately, they come and go. And
Mhm.
I mean, what I'm hearing you say is making sure that the business is system dependent instead of people dependent.
Right.
And so,
You said that so much better.
well,
I like the term. I'm going to steal it.
well, thank you. Hey, as a small business owner, scale grown really quickly in these iterations. So what are some of the misconceptions that you think maybe that you had about being an actual owner, and maybe how you've overcome some of those?
Yeah, I think I I underestimated the profit that running a seven-figure company would bring. Um,
Oh,
you got to remember to pay yourself, and I've done a pretty bad job of that. Luckily, I had some other interests that helped out there, but um, yeah, come tax time, we just finished up our taxes last week, and
mm,
tax planning, you got to hire a good CPA. Um, it, it's deceiving. You think, well, okay, if we have $100,000 in revenue or $200,000 in revenue when you're first starting out, things will be great. And you almost think in the back of your mind, like the tax situation, it's not going to be that bad. It's real. It's real. Those are real dollars. So I think you got to really do a lot of tax planning, work
mm.
with somebody that can kind of guide you through that process. A couple years ago, based on our revenue and based on the way we were set up, it made more sense for us to reorganize as an S corp versus
Mhm.
a single member LLC at the time.
Okay.
And that probably this year, well, I won't say probably. I will say that this year that made a big impact. But knowing kind of how to structure things in a way that can keep your tax burden down to what is accurate and ethical and appropriate, but keep it as low as possible. There's a lot of tax dollars going out every day, so every month.
Well, we do want to keep as much as we can, right?
Yes.
That's the idea. Over the course of the few 4 years, 5 years now that you've been
Mhm.
maybe going into your fifth year, where does the growth come from? Uh, Surely it's not just dumb luck, but what are you doing what would you attribute your growth to?
Yeah, I think we got the positioning right right from the get-go. The performance-based, commission-based approach, there's more and more demand every day for it.
Mhm.
We had spotted a problem in the industry, which was a lack of accountability to the results. There was a lot of um, big talk. Sometimes the action was there, sometimes the results were there, sometimes they weren't. But regardless, the agency was compensated the same. And in sharing a little bit of that accountability and taking on a little bit of that risk, we've been able to work with a lot of clients that we normally, at our size and our maturation, a couple years into doing business, we're working with Fortune 100s that we would not have gotten that shot if it wasn't for the approach. So the positioning was very good. Um, and yeah.
Right. Yeah, well,
And
it
I kind
certainly
of,
helps if you know
can
your
you repeat the
lane.
question? I kind of lost the train of thought
No,
there.
no, it was what do you attribute your growth to? And it sounds
Oh,
like it's clarity on
yeah,
where you fit in the marketplace, in
yeah.
the lane that you're focused on.
The other portion of that is actually delivering those results.
Mm.
Our retention rate's very good. So we've learned that it's a lot easier to work with the same clients. And if you want to grow your business, grow those accounts, make it worth, your clients' time and resources to increase those retainers or to pay you higher commissions or whatever it might be. But every time that you take on a new client, a new customer, you got to get to know that customer. You got to get to know that client. You have to onboard them. Inevitably, the effort's a little bit front loaded. And so you can't just try to sell, bring on bad partners and see churn. If you're seeing churn in a service-based business, you need to really look at who you're bringing on board as a new client, because right, the efficiency gain of growing out your current accounts and not just taking on mass volumes of new clients is important. So that might be a little bit unique to my industry, but I think that's another reason for our growth. We probably add 3 or 4 accounts each month. That's it. And we're looking at partnering with companies that are better partners than, 4 years ago when we started. We were kind of taking anybody that came our way, and we needed to at the time, but we're just being a little bit more selective now, and that's leading to better retention, better efficiency, better profits.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, that's great. So any business owner that's out there understands that there are only 24 hours in the day, and sometimes that's just not enough. How are you working out this work-life balance, a personal life and the work demands as well? Or are you?
I'm not going to say I'm perfect in this area, but something we're trying to do at the company. We have offices. We're a hybrid model. So we have offices in Columbia and Charlotte, and we go into the offices a couple days a week. The team in Columbia goes in a lot more often than the team in Charlotte. That's my senior leadership teams in Charlotte, and they don't need to go in as often. But because of that, we're pretty much always remote, and not every business is going to have this luxury, but because of that, we tell the team, if you need to go run errands, if you have a recital to get to, if you have a kid's baseball game to get to, great, plan it. Be responsible for the effort that you're putting in as a professional, that you're getting your work done, that you're putting in the time that you're supposed to. But, and I get to do this too. If I want to go watch my son's football game and it's 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, I don't know why it would be, but let's just say it was, then I'll go do that. If I need to pick him up from school, I go do that. And we put it on our calendars, and we try to communicate and everything. And that's why it's important to keep your calendar up to date. But you have to do that this day and age. Especially if you're a business owner and if you're getting up early and you're working till late, well, then that's the give and take. Then you should be able to have kind of that freedom, that flexibility throughout the day to live your life. Because otherwise you just work 16 hours a day, and the work will never stop. So you have to be flexible, and you have to take those opportunities when it comes.
Yep.
But at the same time, I understand it's a grind, and I'm not signed up for 40-hour work week. My job doesn't start at 9 o'clock and end at 5 o'clock. It's all day. It's advertising. Things happen. Clients have issues. Clients need help with things on a Saturday. Not quite as often as the Tuesday, but sometimes it happens. But I think that's the key, is that the work-life integration, and just not trying to be so compartmentalized. The work-life balance sometimes throws people, where they think that they've got to have this is my time for work and this is my time for life. Well, life happens and stuff at work happens, and you gotta kind of roll with the punches there.
And it sounds like that applies to your team members and employees as well. So it takes a unique type of employee that is going to kind of buy into that and respect the whole operation. And so what are some of those things, as you look at employees and are interviewing and onboarding, or working to retain? Are there a few characteristics that you're actually really looking for, or how do you go about that to get the ideal team member?
Absolutely, and that's changed over the years too, and we learned the hard way. You have to look for folks that are self-motivated, that take pride in the work that they produce. One of our core values is pride, and a lot of people hear that and they think that means prideful, and that's not what we mean. But we mean taking great pride in your knowledge, your ability, the work that you produce, the results that you drive for the clients. So we're looking for people that have that mindset, because we are a commission-based agency. And so the better work that they do, it directly benefits our company. It also directly benefits their paycheck. But I think that we've learned to look for those cues, and because we're remote, we're looking for folks that are a little bit further in their career than maybe we would have a couple years ago. We don't have a great big team, and so we don't have a great training program where we can run them through a 3-week onboarding and train them in every facet of their job. And we don't have a manual yet. We're working on it. But we don't have those programs that like a larger company would probably have. And so we've learned that we can't take somebody from scratch and teach them this industry and teach them all the advanced techniques that we need to drive the results we're driving. So we've actually been hiring folks at a higher caliber with a lot more experience, and consequently they're a lot more expensive, but
Right.
they're worth it for us. And so weirdly, I would say that if you have a small business, don't be afraid to go after, top talent. Just know that you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to compensate them fairly, whether that be through their salary, bonuses, benefits. We have great benefits for a company our size. I wish I'd have done that a couple years earlier. We got health insurance last year. We got the 401k. We got all the bells and whistles. We instituted maternity leave and paternity leave, but it's scary when you first start out, some of those things, but it's worth it. Do it would be my suggestion. But yeah, in terms of what we're looking for, we're looking for people that are plug and play, that can come in day one, make an impact, and don't need to be told how to do their job, but need to be told how we do things at our company and how, maybe give them more information about our clients' objectives and goals, but don't require a whole lot of training. And that's a big difference. 10 years ago, an agency, you hired people straight out of college, and you trained them because the labor was more cost effective. And you could kind of train them up very quickly. Well, you can't do that now. Digital is it's so technical that you almost need somebody 6-7 years into their career before you trust them to work on these big accounts with millions of dollars in annual ad spend and things. Little mistake can cost you big time there. So we've learned not to hire people that we have to train.
Yeah.
That sounds bad, but not that we have to train how to do their job day one. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. Well, okay. As we start to wind down, what words of wisdom or nuggets might you share in addition to the gold you've already, shared in the interview?
Thanks. I don't know if it's that gold, but the biggest thing I would share is that you need to surround yourself with like-minded folks. You need to create a network of trusted advisors. I have 3 or 4 clients that I talk to on a almost daily basis that I consult with their business, but they consult with mine. And I can text them, I can call them, they're on Slack. So I can just shoot them a message real quick in the middle of the day. But those folks know my business about as well as my business partner or my operations manager, and they're able to advise me as fellow business owners, what has worked for them in the past. They've got their own networks that they can pull from. So a lot of times that they're polling or just making connections. So the networking aspect, but also just having that trusted group of people that you can bounce ideas off of is huge. You get into your first legal issue as a business owner, it's going to happen. So, being able to say, hey, do you have a business law attorney that could advise me, and being able to have somebody that can make that connection, that's huge. So you're not Googling, and you're not just trying to find somebody random out there.
Absolutely. You're not on an island by yourself. Surround yourself with some key people.
And don't be afraid to ask those questions too. You feel kind of silly sometimes. You're like, well, I should kind of know this. Just ask. Just find people you trust and ask the silly question, and don't make the boofus mistake.
There you That's great. So Josh, what's the best way somebody could get in touch with you or with your company?
Sure. They could visit our website. It's witgroupagency.com. Or, you can find me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email. My email is connect@witgroup.info.
Fantastic. So Josh Mangum at Wit Group, in Columbia and here in Charlotte. So thanks again for being on the Business Spotlight series.
Thanks
I
for having me.
appreciate your time,
Yeah,
and thanks for sharing all your wisdom with us.
you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.